Ciara Wolfe is the Chief Executive Officer for the Big Sky Community Organization. An Oregon native, she holds a master's in nonprofit management from Regis University and a bachelor's in earth science from MSU. And she's been in Montana for about 15 years. Ciara, welcome to the show.
Hi, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. A lot of things changing right now, a lot of unknowns, ifs and buts. How are you guys holding up at BSCO?
We're digging in and doing as much as we can with the resources that we have on hand.
Mm-hmm. What's new? What's going on in the project world for you guys? Yeah, what do you got going on right now?
Well, we, just like everyone on this call, when the COVID-19 pandemic hit, we had to respond immediately and make some immediate adjustments. So we did that. We really leaned our machine, made sure and cut any extra expenses to ensure for resilience for the long term, not knowing what the impact was going to be. We also responded by listening to the community, trying to figure out what the greatest needs are and creating some new programming opportunities, some new recreation opportunities to really respond to those needs. And then we only pursued the projects that were already in motion. So we took a big halt and a big step back. I think a lot of people know BSCO has grown our parks and trails system and our community assets pretty drastically over the last 5 to 10 years. And every year we've got multiple projects on our books. This year we had several projects on our books as outlined through master planning and a lot of work we've been doing for easements and different things. And we decided to only pursue and move forward with those that were already in motion. And so those projects that we decided to move forward with were finishing up some major improvements to the Ouzel Falls trailhead. If you haven't been up there, it's got an amazing kiosk to educate so many of our visitors about the trail system, really just the ethics and the wildlife and everything. An additional bathroom up there that is around for all winter, which will really help us. Some improvements to the parking area. We also added a trail along Spruce Cone that was already in motion. The Spruce Cone, it's really to replace the sidewalks that can't be found in that South Fork neighborhood. It goes right in front of the Morningstar Learning Center, which so many families walk and bike to, and it connects to our Ouzel Falls Trail. So it was a critical connection there. So we were able to build that out. And then of course we continued with the full construction of BASE, the community center that's underway. So that project is moving along and on time. And so those are the 3 projects in motion. And we put off several other projects that we were hoping to do this summer for when the time is right for our community.
Gotcha. Yeah, Ouzel Falls is a wonderful resource along with the entire trail system. It just reminds me of the Ouzel bird, which is quite a fascinating animal, isn't it?
It is. That's what it's named after.
You're not the only one that thinks
that.
Yeah.
That's a popular trail.
Yeah, they can see underwater. It's cool. Yeah, the BASE, I'd just love for you to just tell folks who may not know just a little bit just about the BASE project.
Yeah, the BASE project is a 25,000 square foot indoor community center that is going to be the home for BSCO, our Arts Council of Big Sky, and also our Big Sky Skating and Hockey Association. The facility is being constructed and will be opening at the end of 2021. In addition to that, we also are redoing the entire park area around it. We actually purchased the 3.2 acres, that entire block that the old town center park sat on. We purchased that to build the facility and also to dedicate it as parkland because it was not dedicated as parkland. It was actually zoned and set up to be condominiums in the future. So we're making some major improvements to that park, adding a lot of amenities for our community in addition to building that facility. And that's about a $21 million project that's underway. And that the hockey rink and skating rink will be open this winter again. And the park will be open next summer, just in time to be back for Arts Council's Music in the Mountains concerts. And then the facility itself will be open by the end of 2021.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's quite the project. It's very impressive work. Kristen with GRTF mentioned, PPP loans. Were you guys at BSCO able to benefit from the federal PPP loans as well?
We were, yes. We did receive a PPP loan, and then we received one grant from the state when they came out with the social services grant. The interesting thing about our organization is we really, since the pandemic has hit, we've actually been dealing with higher volumes of use and resources than we've ever seen before. And we're doing it on less resources. So that's been it's a different than a lot of situations that people have been in. But you'll see our trail system is seeing anywhere between 25 to 350% increase of users on any given day. Our parks are full to the brim. During the pandemic, we actually extended our grooming season. We partnered with Big Sky Resort and were able to get volunteer groomers, 9 of them, that groomed the 5 additional miles of trails every single night, many of them out there till midnight, grooming those trails so that our community had access to cross-country skiing, no-cost cross-country skiing while we were all sheltering in place. We also took on all the volunteer programming coordination for the community. And so we started recruiting a lot of volunteers to help wherever was needed. We matched volunteers with individuals that were at risk, that didn't feel safe going to the post office and some of the other places in the community. So we kind of set up that buddy system, which is actually still in place for individuals that are quarantined so that they have that service. We also helped work with so many of our program partners to develop all the community program, the virtual community programming. Pretty incredible. Jean referenced it, but pretty incredible collaborative effort that the group came together. And it started out, the first initiative was kind of behind behavioral health. And then we realized, hey, everybody's experiencing behavioral health right now. You know, we can't help with the healthcare necessarily at BSCO. We can't provide and treat the sick patients. We can't help with the financial aspect of the people that were losing their jobs. But an even greater population were actually having negative effects every single day due to the anxiety, the quarantine, the isolation, you name it. And so we could help with that. And so we worked with all of our partners. That group, I have the stats in front of me. That group actually provided 19 different organizations came together, provided 3,257 hours of instruction time to our community, which consisted of over 14,000 participants during that time of sheltering in place. And so our organization really was just trying to hold pace with what we normally do and then take on all that extra that we knew our community needed. And so it's been busy. We've dug deep and had to have a lot of moments of pick ourselves up off the ground. We still got this. And now have kind of moved more into a recovery phase of we're not responding anymore. We're just keeping up with everything that's going around us.
Well, those are some impressive numbers to be sure, you know, and that's something that sticks out to me, you know, in businesses in Big Sky, but also in nonprofits. And, you know, obviously a small town that's unincorporated can have its complications, to be sure. But, you know, the collaborative effort between different organizations is something that we've seen really come through over the past 4 months.
I agree that it's been wonderful to be a part of. I've loved working with all the different partner agencies. And I think our community has done an excellent job at showcasing how these collaboratives can work, like the one I just described to you, and also the relief fund that we put together. I mean, it's really a showcase across the nation as far as how we've been able to respond, leverage resources, and really be flexible to meet what the community's needs are. Always been a big believer in the not-for-profit sector. You listen to your community, you serve your community with what their greatest needs are, and the resources will somehow fall into place. And so that's how I feel we've approached this at BSCO. Even though it's scary and intimidating, and we're going into having to cancel a lot of our summer events that were our major fundraisers and reduced our resort tax ask so significantly as we submitted it. So dealing with less resources, but at the same time handling a lot more of a workload than we've had to in the past.
Sure, it's a lot, and I know a lot of places are doing more with less, you know, these days. So, Ciara, you know, you're the CEO at Big Sky Community Organization, and you also sit on the board of Big Sky Resort Area District. And which appropriates money to nonprofits like BSCO. I was curious, how you handle both these roles and, how you square them with each other.
Yeah, it's challenging. I won't say that it's easy, but throughout my career, I've really had to learn how to separate, be very objective about decision making, to be able to make business decisions, to be able to make staff supervision decisions, to be able to make decisions when I'm working with donors on things. And so that skill set, I believe, has really helped me to bring more to the table at Resort Tax as actually one of the applicants and as a nonprofit partner, to be able to share that perspective and kind of that mindset, while at the same time being able to, I guess, just clarify, kind of think about where the best matches are for Resort Tax and do that. But I will say it's really hard. Every single applicant that applies to Resort Tax is an admired. I love every single of those applicants. They're my colleagues. I respect what they do. They all work really hard. They all have really good missions. And so trying to separate that, how you feel about that, with just making the best decisions for our community with public tax dollars is how I've had to approach that. And then I've also recused myself from anything that has to do with the organization that I work with that's an applicant. I just don't even say a word. I am able to do that. It really, nothing anybody says can offend me or make me upset in that way. And that's probably because I've been in the fundraising world for a long time. I've been told no a lot, and it's okay to be able to work through that. So that's kind of how I've handled it.
Yeah, sure. And thanks for answering that. That was what one of my follow-up questions was going to be. How you treat the conversation of BSCO within BizRad. But you talked about Big Sky Relief. Tell me, about Big Sky Relief's relationship with BizRad. How does that work?
Yeah, the Big Sky Relief Fund is an initiative, another collaborative that was the Resort Tax partnering with the 3 local community foundations and also our community members to provide relief funding to different entities and individuals in need. And so we separated it out by which one made most sense. The Resort Tax really took on funding the local not-for-profits that were providing additional services related to the pandemic. And the 3 community foundations and community members that donated to that fund really worked in an umbrella that was underneath Yellowstone Club Community Foundation. So they really housed the fund, even though all the different entities gave into it. And a committee of board members from all of those entities sat together to help make decisions on that. And that fund has been able to give out over $200,000 to approximately 100 individuals in our community to be able to help support them with any financial economic distress they've had due to loss of work or situations that have occurred due to the pandemic. And so again, just another way to lift up our community, let them know we're here for them, and be able to leverage all the different resources we have here.
Sure. And one benefactor from that has been, has been the Big Sky Medical Center, for supplies and PPE. What kind of equipment was received or requested by BSMC with that funds, those money?
Yeah, they received money from both Resort Tax and then the relief fund that was set up through the umbrella of YCCF. They received funds to really build out those additional rooms, so they had a larger capacity. They received funds. I know Moonlight and Spanish Peak specifically funded their UV sterilization equipment for those rooms. Also, were able to order the ventilators, additional ventilators, even though they haven't arrived yet, and a higher capacity testing machine for the Big Sky community. So that they've been able to do that. Some additional PPP stuff for the workers, or PPE stuff for the workers. So a variety of needs that the medical center needed immediately to be able to be prepared and respond to whatever spike of the pandemic that we would see or we will still see.
Sure. We reported a story online yesterday in the EBS newspaper about, how 700 COVID-19 tests were conducted in Big Sky, and the tests, many of them have not yet been received. I should note that this was paid for through the Federal CARES Act, not through Big Sky Relief or Big Sky Resort Area District. But you mentioned ventilators have not yet been received, and Big Sky Medical Center has an analyzer, but they haven't been able to use it. Why is it so hard to get supplies such as test kits for the analyzer?
Well, I'll say it has nothing to do with our local hospital system or our Gallatin County Health Department. They've been nothing but helpful and supportive in this process. So I want to make sure that that's clear to our community. It's been very challenging at the state and federal level. And so actually a bunch of local leaders through the resort tax really did the work along with the Chamber of Commerce here in Big Sky, signed off and sent letters to our senators, to our representatives saying, we need some attention here in Gallatin County. We need some attention here in Big Sky, Montana. We recognize that our numbers in comparison to other hotspots in this country aren't even close to what those hotspots are seeing. We are not dealing with the same issues of the hospitals being overcrowded, of there not being enough services. But at the same time, we do have a large amount of tourists and transient population coming through here. I think everyone can tell that by walking around Big Sky these days. And we need to keep our people safe. And in order to do that, we have to have the testing and the safety equipment and the hospital equipment to do that. And so really it comes down to more of a federal and state level than it is local. And unfortunately, because of our low numbers, even though they feel high to us or higher than what they have been, right now they're still so low compared to many other parts of the country. And so we're just not there in the priority. But we're continuing to work. We won't stop pushing till we get it. And let's hope that it's just insurance, that we're not going to need some of that stuff up here in Big Sky, but we're still going to get, at least right now. But we'll keep pushing, and our hospital system's doing a great job at that, along with Gallatin County Health.
Yeah, I think we've discovered similar results based on our reporting. Of course, the numbers are relative, but it doesn't take a lot to overwhelm a small hospital system. But I do, there has been some great collaboration and good work on the local and state level as well. Let me shift gears real quickly. I'd love to ask you just about your upcoming Parks and Trails event.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. We, in the past at BSCO, we've always hosted a fundraising event in the summer, which has been a major fundraiser for us. It raises over $200,000, which goes straight to supporting our community programs, our summer camp program, our softball program, our additional acquisition of easements for trails, the planning that we do for our parks, the support of that base project to get up and off the ground. All the money that we raise for that capital campaign, not one dime of it is going to the organization that's actually making it all happen. So our annual funds that we raise to make that stuff happen, a big chunk of it's come from our event. And we unfortunately can't hold that event. And we couldn't hold our 4th of July running a race event either. And we don't know what else is going to be canceled in the future. So we've shifted just like everyone else, but we're doing a whole week of celebrating our parks, trails, and recreation. Because I don't know about you guys, but they are my savior right now. Biking, running, hiking outside is the one safe thing that we can do. And so we want to celebrate that. That's our culture, and our community values that. And so starting this Saturday, all the way through the 31st, we have a variety of events and ways that we're raising money to support our work. We have free guided hikes almost every day of the week. You can find the schedule on our website, bscomt.org. We also have volunteers at all the trailheads talking to people. We are selling raffle tickets right now. We have been through the summer, and we're going to continue to do it at the farmers market tomorrow night and next Wednesday. And you can come by our office to win a e-bike that was donated to us. And then we, as the other organizations, we are doing an online auction that's opening up this Saturday and ending next Friday, July 31st, has to raise money for our mission. And in addition to that, we have several hosts that are actually hosting a small house party at their house of their friends to the night of Friday, July 31st. Instead of all coming together, 250 people under a tent. We can't do that. They're doing small ones all over the community, where they're hosting an event at their house to really support us and encouraging their friends to support us through that online auction that night, which will end at midnight. So it's a culmination of a variety of things, a way to celebrate and also a way to raise the necessary funds to continue the work that we do.
Okay, nice. Yeah, and learning more, bscomt.org. Last question that I have for you, Ciara. Again, we're asking each of our panelists this tonight. Is the growth of Big Sky, in your eyes and in BSCO's eyes, helpful or detrimental to the organization's efforts?
Well, I've been in Big Sky for 5 years. So my perspective is that range. I will say that I'm a Bobcat alumni. So I was around Big Sky years and years ago, even though I didn't live here. And I never would have imagined in a million years graduating that my husband and I would pick this as the place to raise our children. But because of the growth, the school system, the job opportunities, the neighborhoods, the community, we feel like the luckiest people in the world to get to live here. So on a personal note, I'd say it has been nothing but amazing for us. On a professional note, I would also say for BSCO, it's provided a lot of opportunity. It provides a lot more work as far as taking care of everything. They get hammered more. We have a lot more damage done to our systems and our parks, a lot more maintenance and cleaning that needs to happen. But most of that we can manage. We can continue. We just have to put more time and energy and resources into it. But the opportunities have come with more trail mileage, more parkland. This community center project wouldn't have happened without the growth of this community to be able to support it and everyone to step up and help donate to it. So there's a lot of opportunities we're getting. We're also seeing switchovers and landowners. So to where all of a sudden a connection on a trail we never thought we were going to get, when that property switches to a different landowner, they are more willing to work with us, and we're seeing and being able to link up potential long-term dreams for this community. So there's some interesting opportunities for us that we've been able to take advantage of, but again, you have to balance that with the damage that is done to the system and ensure you keep your resources up. And that's another reason why that base project, we were so driven to build it as environmentally as efficient with the lowest carbon footprint we possibly could as a role model building for this community. We're still on track for that, to be a LEED platinum commercial building, one of the first one in this entire area, because that's our values and that's what Big Sky believes in. And so we're trying to balance our growth with also the maintenance, the care, the stewardship, and the values that have brought us here.
Gotcha. Well, thank you for that, Ciara. And thanks, for joining us again. It's been great talking to everybody so far, and we're looking forward to our next panelist. But before we bring her on, Brandon, any audience questions, any follow-ups from you?
Yeah, thank you, Joe. And thank you, Ciara, for joining us. I have an audience question and then I have a follow-up question myself. First, I'll do the audience question. This one's from Bella. Had all of the funding for base been secured before the pandemic?
Well, it depends on what you call secured. We had raised about $20.5 million before the pandemic. However, several of those were pledges and commitments made over multi-years out in the future. So there was a lot of hesitation that are people still going to be able to make those philanthropic commitments with some of the negative economic impact and what was happening in our economy. So as of right now, our donors have continued to be good to us and kept their pledges, but there's still time to tell. And so we're just navigating that as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you discussed events and BSCO's involvement in the community. Joe and I are both participants in the Big Sky Co-ed Softball League. I'm curious, what feedback have you received from participants and community members that you were able to, put that on and still make it happen in a safe fashion?
Everyone's so happy. Ton of work. I can't say enough how much my staff team is like such rock stars. It's not just like the extra people, it's everything you're doing. You have to have all new HR policies, and this is every business. This just isn't us. all new HR policies, so much extra work, all this screening, all this, and we have volunteers. Jody and Whitney, who chair that softball league, have been amazing. Our staff team have really dove in and tried to set it up safe. Same thing with our summer camp. All of our families and parents that are working are so happy, and the kids are happy, but a lot of extra work. Our camp manager, Richard, has just been so flexible and so driven to try to keep everyone safe. And so, so far we've only heard positives, but it's been very challenging to navigate, especially as you start to see positive tests come up and how things happen. But so far we've been able to keep the folks safe in our environment. It's all outdoor. That helps. We're unique in that way. And we hope we can continue.
Well, thank you, Ciara. I appreciate it. And I applaud all of your team's efforts.
Thank you.